going to struggle through the process of doing a lesson on a phone. It's better than nothing, I guess. It's just fine.
Yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah. At least I ripped the VOD, actually. I can't imagine just sitting here through the VOD with you having no ability to control the speed whatsoever through
Mm,
Twitch's shit UI.
that's very true, which is horrific. I don't know why it's 10 seconds. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's low key one of the biggest reasons why I wish all tournaments would just stream on both YouTube and Twitch. Because if I want to look back at something, even during a live broadcast, it would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, like there's like 5 out of every top 32 sets or whatever that are simply meaningless and are no fun to watch. So you would prefer to simply be able to quickly rewind and yeah. Okay. Anyway, probably you can hit record now. Probably
Okay,
you.
I have.
Uh, okay. Uh, okay. I think I'm in a weird spot with the game right now. I don't. Uh, I still want to play and I still want to enter tournaments, but okay, maybe better just to start with my experience at the locals lately, which is that I think this most recent local was very annoying because I just lost and I felt a very strong sense of uh, regret that I didn't try my hardest. And part of it is just that like I played against a puff and my brain went AFK
Mm-hmm.
and that happened and just had a hard day before that. So sometimes it just happens like that. But I don't know. I think it would be really nice to not to be able to not repeat that. Whether and of course, I recognize that not everything about the way I feel about a set is decided on the day of, right? Like part of
Mm-hmm.
it, a lot of it, for example, goes into my preparation. Like if I just prepared well and I still perform poorly anyway, then all things equal, I would probably feel better about how I perform because I'd be like, okay, well, at least I tried my heart out beforehand.
Yeah.
And at least I practiced and I prepared properly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so right, the most recent local is just like, oh, in winners I did better against Marth because I've been practicing different aspects of the matchup and I felt like I was competitive to be able to win, which felt good. And then I beat some Peach and losers and that was fine. And then I played the Puff and the Puff set was just like uh, it, I just don't remember feeling anything while playing. I didn't really I tried to I remember distinctly trying to motivate myself while playing and I was like, this isn't working. Like thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of it is just that I give myself so few chances to compete. So so I think it's how do I put this? I think it's natural that I would run into one of these sooner or later. Like not every tournament is gonna be a home run.
Yeah.
So um right. So I think I want to discuss the feeling of regret and trying to and I think the thing that stings the most is that the person I lost to lives 2 hours away, and I am not in a life position where I can regularly make drives to locals 2 hours away. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have a girlfriend, a house, other friends, gym, pets, job. Like,
Yeah.
like I can't just be like, oh, I will go anime mode and destroy their souls and take PTO on a Friday and drive. Like it just seems so. That's not really
It's not
what I
realistic.
yeah, that's not realistic. So I think the feeling of playing like shit is compounded by, wow, I might never get the chance to play this person in a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt really bad.
That makes
But
sense.
I think it's productive though to talk about this and to sort of explore it because inevitably that's what happens when you go to majors, right? You go to majors and you play people in tournaments that you have very, very little opportunity to play. And part of the whole process of competing in those environments is making sure that you are in a condition where you can play to your heart's ability and afterwards all of your regrets are contained to the game if any.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's healthy for me to I guess conceptualize it in these terms. So that was the most recent tournament, and then the tournament before that is like, uh, let's see, I lost to Sid and I lost to Psyched. Oh, that one was whatever. Like I went because I went. That one was a tournament where like I went on a whim and uh I went on a whim and that's always just a bad idea in my current life situation. Because again, it's like I get so few chances to compete, and going just for the hell of it is just not productive because it's just a waste of my time. Like I drive an hour, and all the tournaments take place at a PC cafe also. So
Mhm.
if my girlfriend comes with and I pay for her 3 hours where she queues into ARAM or plays, plays solo queue, or when she never plays solo queue, she's not that crazy. But she'll just play like norms or whatever. And so it's like, oh, I'm paying for her to sit at a PC for a few hours while I mash on the sticks against people 5 to 7 years younger than me. Like
Yeah.
it's just not if I don't have a good idea of exactly why I'm going, it's not a good use of my time. That's effectively what happened. I just lost against people that I haven't really done that much to prepare against.
Mhm.
And then the tournament before that, I think it was either immediately after I think it was immediately before our lesson, and that one was the one where I just lost to the Falcon winners, and I felt okay about that tournament, not in the terms of the gameplay, but only in terms of my mental fortitude, where I really felt like I was in a position to push myself, and I set it up well because I had already planned many weeks at a time to attend the tournament. So I think I was in a better position mentally and I could feel happy. Even though the gameplay wasn't great, I was just pushing myself to try as hard as I could. And it didn't really matter that much that I played poorly.
Mhm.
So really all I'm trying to say is that in a weird position. Oh, and I guess just not even just talking about the history of emotional experiences, but maybe more about like my present state is that I I don't think I would describe myself as motivated. It's weird. I'm not motivated, but I feel a sense of ego about the situation.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't quite know. I think you could probably ask more questions about that, but it's just like I don't feel part. It's not like, oh man, I lost. Like I'm so much better than this. I wish I could. If I could just turn back time, I would just do whatever. It's more like something about it irritates my ego, and it's not in a motivational sense, or at least not in the motivational sense that I'm familiar with, but rather this is irritating me and I would like to stop losing, even though winning and losing is a direct product of gameplay improvements.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's all I have to say.
Okay. I have a few questions, but
Okay.
I guess to talk about the most recent thing is it's like if the ego aspect that you're talking about wasn't in the picture, do you even think you'd play melee?
Probably not actually.
Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like if that's the case, then it's like I think it's understandable to still want to play melee, but maybe it might be important to like recontextualize why you want to play because I think it's obviously a cool experience to be good at melee or be better than people at melee, do things in melee that you think are cool, but then it's like you should be playing for those reasons, and so then you kind of end up avoiding the issue of ego.
Hmm. I Let me think. So just to be clear, it's that. Can you repeat the point? I lost the thread a bit because I was trying to think about all the things you're saying. Can you repeat the point one
Yeah,
more
yeah,
time?
it's okay. I think I feel like if you would not play the game, if you didn't feel like you had that ego attachment, then it's like probably important to reevaluate like your desires from playing the game because obviously you want
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
right? You want things to go
Yes.
well, you want to be better, you want to win interactions, but like that doesn't need to come from ego. You could just be like, yeah, I want to be better. And then that could be like your sole motivator. And obviously, that's not
Oh, I
super
see.
realistic. I don't think
Yeah.
everyone's like, I want to be good, so I play. A lot of people have investments and have ego investments, and I don't think that's unhealthy or anything. But I think as a sole motivator, it's like you will never
Oh, I
commit to the
see.
game, right?
Yeah, okay, sorry. I think I would like to amend my answer. I no, I don't think that's the only reason I play.
Okay.
I think, for example, uh if I this is such a hellish description, but hearing out. If I only played on ranked for the rest of my life, I would still I would still be happy doing that.
That's fine.
I would still want to. So I think if we're just making it simple for the sake of understanding the issue better, then yeah, sorry, I think I didn't give the right answer earlier. I'm not only playing because I want to win
Hmm.
against people. That's not the only reason why I'm playing. Uh I guess more affirmative reasons are I think Sheik looks cool. I like playing Sheik. I think the way like I think I love all of her animations. I like kind of the way the moves feel and sound. I think I like the strategic aspect of the game. I think it's really cool. I think I like fighting games in general, and this is just the one I'm very familiar with. So
Hmm.
there's that. There's lots of different. I also I mean, everybody gives this answer, but it doesn't make it any less true. The idea of self-expression through a medium
Yeah.
is cool. So I think, so yeah, I think if this is a gut check of about are you only playing the game because you want to, you know, beat people in a tournament setting? The answer is no. That is not the only reason why I'm playing.
Okay.
So
That makes sense. I think then what I have to ask is, and this is a big question, but like you have all those things that you enjoy about the game, but then what are like, do you have any overarching goals that like
yeah,
take from those or anything, you know? Because if you can establish those, then I think like you can structure the way
mhm.
that you approach it around that and get what you want, you know?
Yeah. I think my overall um
And you don't
when I
have to
started
have like a
playing,
super duper concrete answer. You could just have
yeah.
feelings. That's fine.
Yeah, I think, it's funny. I think what inspired me to start trying to play again is that there is just somebody who's been winning the locals over and over and over and over again, and she hasn't lost for like a year,
Mhm.
maybe more. And it made me. It's weird because I answer because the answer I gave just before might not seem to align with this might not seem to align with this very well, but it would it would be nice to take that away from her.
That is totally
I would.
reasonable. Very
Uh,
understandable.
I think well, and but I also, I think also that my goal is I think another goal I have is to be able to make the character move and do things like make the character move and do things as they appear and feel in my head.
Hmm.
Like, I think when I watch myself, I look kinda clumsy compared. I mean, this is not a super reasonable comparison, but if I compare it to like J-Mook or even Kyle or Sammy or like any number of good players, it's like their vision of the character is so different from what they're able to put on screen is so different from what I'm able to put on screen, and I would love to feel like I can do some of the same things as they can. Like I would love to be able to reach that point and evaluate for myself how that feels and what it would mean to me
Hmm.
to be able to do those things.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I that is really the overarching goal is to have that sense of to be able to do those things and to see what it would feel like to be able to do those things.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I think is very reasonable. In that case, then I kind of feel like if that's what you want, then where do tournaments specifically fall into that? Because I don't think you need tournaments to be able to
No, I
do those
don't.
things, and I don't think it's not like I'm saying like, oh, you know, don't enter and don't want to win, because it's like that's absurd, you know. But I
Yeah.
think like maybe separating those two things as like in terms of how you approach the entities, I think might be valuable because it could just be like, oh, okay, I want to get better in a way that lets me play the game in a way that reflects how I feel about it and do things that I
Mhm.
think are cool. and you could do that in tandem with being like, I also want to win sets, you know. And I think if
Yeah,
you
no,
have
I
them,
agree.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I
So
didn't really have anything else to say.
no, so I agree with that idea that they're separable concepts. It's just that, um, I think in general I think in general, it's actually kind of hard to answer this question because how do I okay, this is going to sound like a diss, and I
Mhm.
promise you it's not, but I think the way that you and Sammy treat that specific thing, uh, has sort of impressed its way upon me, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like whenever we end up talking about these things in separate discussions outside of lessons, that specific aspect of what does a tournament mean versus what does gameplay mean, what do gameplay improvements mean, like, those things are, uh, not super the bridge between those things is not super resolved, if there even is a bridge. Like, I
Mhm.
think Sammy very famously is somebody who's like, "Tournaments were simply not fun for me anymore," and I love Melee so much that I'm still willing to teach it to other people, but it's just that tournaments don't mean I just place such low value on tournaments in terms of my overall skill evaluation.
Mhm.
And I think there is just a lot of there I don't even think I have to point to you 2 for that. There's plenty of other people who feel that way. But it's more that, like, just my game philosophy aligns so closely with you 2 in general that I think it sort of naturally follows that I have a or it has just sort of kind of naturally led to this point that I don't have very formed thoughts on separating those things as entities. Like, I
Yeah.
think maybe being even more specific, it's like there's a cultural standard that those 2 things are, inevitably connected. Do you know what I mean? It's like you
Mhm.
play against other people, so inevitably you must be doing it because you want to have better chances to compete in the standardized environment that everybody agrees on. When in fact, it could be very well true that somebody goal could just be to simply be a beast in friendlies and never enter a tournament ever, and it would be just as valid, I think.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Um,
So
I definitely understand. I mean, I've been imprinted on by sin. I mean, Lord knows what that's done to me. But I think that like the that ends up being the case mainly because I think Sammy is like on the extreme end of it. Not in the sense that what he's saying is extreme, but he's on the far end of like the spectrum for playing well, playing in tournament, playing whatever, whatever. Um,
yeah,
and I think that I recently have like trended a lot more towards the middle. Not that I like competing. I still think competing's really ass, but I
yeah,
understand it a lot more and like I think it's obviously I've never not thought it was reasonable, but like I have a much better idea of why people want
do
to
it.
do it. Yeah, and I think like I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot for a while, but I feel like the end thing is that if you ultimately have to weigh how much you enjoy like things going well compared to you feeling good about the things you do, right? Like it's either like,
Yeah,
do you really enjoy? And I don't mean this in a way where it's like, oh, if you pick an option that you want to do, you're going to lose half the time, or if you do things that you think will make you win, they're going to be bad. That's not the sentiment at all. But I think
yeah,
that you have to like precisely understand how much you want either of those things, and then say if you're like, I like doing things that I enjoy or think are cool, and maybe they don't line up exactly with the most quote unquote, arbitrary, efficient way to play in tournament, then it's like
yeah,
you have to be able to kind of give lenience to the result and be like, well, I lost the interaction because I didn't have perfect tech skill, but like I still like what I did. Or if you lean towards the other side, it's like you have to be like, oh well, honestly, the stuff tilt's kind of newbie, but this guy's getting shit on, so I don't care, or something like that, right? And I think like
yeah,
if you could understand where you lie on that, then you could like find a reasonable middle ground. And I think like playing Falco for me has done a lot for that because I have like trended a lot more towards being like I just want to beat the dude on the screen. And I think that
Yeah.
I'm okay with the things I'm doing most of the time because I've ended up at a point where it's like I trust my rationale to where I think the options that I'll be picking most of the time are things that I will like. Like even among the things that are like tournament e decisions, I don't even necessarily like categorizing them that way. It feels a
Yeah.
bit reductive, but
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you mean.
I still enjoy doing those things because I have like I just trust my rationale and it's like this is probably gonna why would I do a thing I wouldn't like, you know? And I like
Yeah.
care less about the inherent like meaning behind decisions for myself at least. Obviously it gets harder
Yeah.
once you bring in another person and then you have I think it's just not helpful to ever judge what your
Right.
opponent's doing in terms of quality because you will exclusively be unhappy. But
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
No, okay,
that for yourself, yeah, I think if you just have faith, it'll work out and you'll end up doing good things because if you don't like losing, you'll be like, dude, I fucking hate losing this situation. And then you'll fill it in with something, and it doesn't matter whether it's a unique, prolific, beautiful decision or it's the thing that beats it in the most direct way possible, you'll probably be happy about the result, you know?
yeah, I think I understand what you're getting at. It's just that there's no you're saying that I have to decide, the game is a game. There is a total space of possible actions and behaviors, and there are things that, are better or worse responses
Yeah.
depending on your level of information at the time. And the thing about playing in tournaments is that they are a specific context that engineer a specific set of circumstances. And I have to decide how I feel about how those specificities influence the decisions that are made. If I feel, again, I think the way you summarize it somewhere in the middle was really good in that, like, sometimes, it's like I have to decide whether or not I'm happy shitting on the guy in front of me, or if I'm happier playing the game for what I think is cool and what I think makes sense.
Mhm.
And nothing is going to ever get decided unless I have some sort of clear unless I'm at least moving towards a clearer idea of how I want to weigh the two. And it doesn't have to be consistent. I'm not going to get it perfect every day, all the time, or whatever. But it's important to have this decided ahead of time, because otherwise, it's just going to feel bad on one side or the other, and it's not going to lead to, and I'm not going to be progressing towards anything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think my gut response to this is that uh I'm uniquely afflicted by having a lot of top player friends.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not uniquely, but it's just that my development throughout the game and some other personal things have sort of saddled me with the privilege of having a lot of great players as friends. And what ends up happening is that, uh, whether I like it or not, I, uh, let me put it this way. My holistic journey with the game is actually pretty limited. And
Mhm.
what I mean by that is that because I have so many people who are just good, and I have their gameplay as a reference, and they are kind of they are sort of they sort of ended up as my peers in a certain way, like discussion wise. What ends up happening is that I don't have, like, maybe a good way to illustrate this is that there are some people who got good by iterating through a lot of phases of their gameplay, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying top players don't do this, but it's just that, like, what ends up happening is that if I play and then I'm talking with a lot of better players, my iterative process inevitably ends up being skewed by people who just already did all the work.
Mhm.
So my so I'm trying to link, so how this links to my personal experience is just that, uh it's hard it's this is brutally self-honest, I guess. It's really hard for me to tell whether or not my ego hinges on doing quote unquote theoretically good options. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like, within the context of what I said, like, about having good player friends, like, it's hard to know whether or not my preference for doing quote unquote good things and caring less about what's on the screen in front of me or what have you, uh, is connected to my ego or not, and it's because I have a specific this background.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, no, I mean, I think because top players have done things to get better, it is like very obvious that they're going to have strong thoughts and feelings that will like influence you. I mean, I've been influenced
Yes,
a fuck ton. And I think that
right.
ultimately it's like I don't know. I don't think I think the over the way I explain it overall is that like I feel like it ends up not actually like mattering that much if you um it depends because I think it is both reasonable and kind of unavoidable to like think about your social influences as like
Yeah,
I want to do the good thing this guy's talking about maybe because XYZ reason but also like there's at some point where I think well I guess the cool thing about melee is that you could also just like take the things they say and interpret it your own way and then do your own thing
yeah.
with it and then be okay with it because it I don't know if the thought process ever needs to extend past I like this thing and I think it's good for XYZ reasons, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is getting into a little hairy territory now because there's a lot we're talking about lots of different things at once, but so I guess sort of to close to sort of narrow the discussion a bit, I think the only reason why I mentioned this is because you asked like, okay, well, you need to have some sort of paradigm to decide between what you care about, whether it's uh game state versus again, setting aside that these distinctions are uncomfortable, like if I have to have some sort of paradigm to decide whether or not I care more about game state optimal versus in front of me optimal. And I think I think what I'm really trying to express is that I don't have very many answers for it's I somewhat frustratingly don't have many answers for this question, and it's hard to envision myself having answers for this question because I feel very biased one way or the other. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe um, a way to wrap up this sort of emotional discussion is that I think the good thing is that part of why it's so fun for me to compete. I think even though I have some embarrassing days and kind of some dissatisfactory days, is that this is uh, a lot of my top player friends or whatever aren't playing anymore, or they aren't actively competing. So I don't have investment in anybody but myself,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's been really fun for me to go and do things and play and experience things directly as an adult, especially who has a lot of emotional transparency and honesty about his process. So
Yeah.
I think it's just that like even though I've had all these influences, like it's still fun for me to compete and try to figure these things out and take lessons and stuff like that because I'm effectively just going through the journey
Mm-hmm.
and making myself do it on a very personal level. And so I think this is helpful. I think um yeah, I think I do have to decide on a paradigm, and I don't have it's not only that I have to decide on a paradigm, but I also have to think of a really practical way to execute it because there's just going to be another tournament, even if it's a local or whatever, where I find, I'm there and I'm just like kind of dissociating or whatever. But um and just just knowing like, oh, just knowing the reasons I care isn't going to be enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to need to have some way to put it into action, but I do agree that I need to have some sort of baseline that I start from, that I have settled on, so that way I can start from that point and develop practical methods around that. And you are right that and bring it all the way back to the beginning. You are right that it makes sense to sort of structure my time and my practice and my investment around the things that I do value. And lately, I just honestly haven't really been doing that. I've just been playing the game because it's fun, which is again valid. But if we're talking about improvement, like not necessarily the most efficient kind of thing. So
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that though. I don't think it always needs to be
no,
the
no,
most
not at
efficient.
no, not at all. I think it's good that I've maintained like just maintaining or whatever is still fine. It's there's no problem with it. So
Yeah. Okay.
okay, thinking about my sets, I think puff stuff is really confusing me lately. I think um my my impression from playing against the puff is that uh I remember a lot of good things happening, and then I remember my tech skills sucking so much ass that that I can't tell if the bad stuff is because my tech skill is bad or the concepts are bad.
Hmm.
Um, I think I w lately when I play against Puff, I'm really fixated on the F tilt,
Hmm.
which is which makes it awkward because I think F tilt is actually it is really important against Puff. Like you can't well, it's not that you can't, but it's very it like it playing F tilt unlocks lots of different positions. But if I'm fixated on it, then she gets to do lots of different things. Like
Yeah.
F tilt only covers a certain area in front of me. She can go above me. Um, I mean, I don't even have to go into the whole thing. It's just that if I'm fix it's like any matchup, but Puff especially, if I'm just focused on F tilting, I'm gonna run into trouble when she's jumping around and I'm not able to F tilt her.
Hmm.
And it ended up I think my that is the thing I remember the most was that I remember thinking while playing, "Wow, it is really annoying to try to F tilt her." And I didn't have any solutions other than, "Okay, well, I'll just back off and charge needles, and when she gets on the platform, I'll try to up tilt her from underneath." And then and then it went really poorly because if it goes I didn't internalize this very well from the lesson we did, like, a year and a half ago, but, like, you need to just keep her above you on the platform, and you don't do moves on her shield because it's the only thing that she can do to come down, the shield
Hmm.
drop. But you
True.
just like, the whole thing is just, like, get directly under her underneath her, play the next position, and do it carefully so that way you don't get reversaled in the air and get juggled for whatever amount of damage.
Hmm.
But instead, during the tournament, I was like, "Damn, like, this is I can't F tilt her, this is really annoying, I'm gonna go charge needles." Well, shit, sometimes trying to hit her with aerials is also really awkward, and, like, getting my back air out isn't always straightforward because your back isn't always facing Puff, and then, yeah, those are what I remember of my emotional impressions while playing, and then I, like, watched 10 seconds of it, and I was like, "Oh, I missed this. Oh, I missed that. I missed that," and I was like, "This is horrible." I wish to Toy Story 3 myself.
Jesus.
So,
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I think
with the F tilt stuff, I think, and let me know how you feel about this, but I feel like that just means that we have to establish like the other positions as well as maybe
yeah.
the F tilt position was established because there's a ton of things happening, and it's like there are many things in between, afterward, and before that like could
Yes.
not like influence the game state. Like you could be making a decision in those spots, um, and I think that like obviously F tilt is cool because it's an easy decision to make around a pretty clear position that's just like, oh, Puff is full hop height in the air in front of me. F tilt works really well. But I also think
Yeah.
adding more options to a situation like that will kind of broaden your perspective in terms of how Sheik is able to do things against Puff. Because I think she gets to pressure Puff a lot, but it's not in ways where it's like, oh man, I pressured Puff, time to up throw up air off the top of the screen. It's like, oh, I pressured Puff really well, I now get my bear, and then pressure her more afterward. It's kind of like instead of it being like a train, it's like you're putting blocks up, and then at some point you get enough pressure to where the blocks are stacked high enough to be taller than you or something.
Yeah, I think my experience and this might come up in the match, I'm not sure, but my experience in the matchup also is that a lot of stalemates end up happening,
Hmm.
actually, or if the feeling of stalemating ends up happening a lot because it's very hard for both characters to hit each other directly. But on the other, it's weird. I can when I play the matchup, my emotional experience is always that I'm either stalemating or um or the hits come really freely. Like everything sort of naturally, it's either I'm stalemating really hard or once I get her in a good spot, it's really good for me. And then I just sort of keep doing things, but then I don't know when it starts or ends. And this is so general, so as to be not very distinct. But so maybe like, for example, I think sometimes like when you get her to respect the threat of F tilt, she starts moving and hanging around in spaces that are really easy for you to either pressure directly with aerials, or you sort of get to take a little bit more stage and then you get to start the F tilt thing again.
Hmm.
And then like and then she has to kind of, she has to play like one mix up or two mix ups or something to get to the next relatively, I guess, even position. And then at that point, when she goes ahead and does that, you can just disengage and charge needles and then make it really frustrating for her all over again. So
Yeah.
like that, that's sort of how the matchup feels really good to me. But then when it feels really bad is, okay, we're stalemating because it's really hard for her to hit me, or I'm trying to make it really hard for her to hit me, and then uh but, eventually I do have to go try and hit her, and then I don't really know what to do if she makes it, if she does her puff thing and floats around to some other platform and makes it really annoying and boring, and then it's just, hold on one second, my girlfriend was asking for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like I'm either stalemating and the positions come really easy for me, or we're stalemating and it feels impossible to hit her. And
Mhm.
there's no in between for me. And that might be reflected in the VODs and it might not, but that's an idea that I want us to sort of talk about a little bit, even though there's only like 20 minutes left in the lesson or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's just talk about it then. I think the only thought I have going into it is I feel like it if there's such a like hard separation, not separation, but like if it could feel so good or so bad, then it's like
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that means you're not being specific enough about the interactions in between, or like maybe the qualities of the interactions in between. Not necessarily the
Yes.
interactions, but like positionings, I guess would be more accurate.
Yeah, that I agree with that, and I'm looking forward to what you have to say.
Mm,
Um, so
okay. What the fuck?
dude,
That noise freaked me the fuck out. That was insane.
oh, I
It,
guess it is stream transition.
yeah, the stream transition just is a pen noise.
That's oh, I see.
That's weird. Anyways, I think dropping third against Puff is a waste of time.
Really? Okay. I don't like the position where I'm on the side. Well, okay, she's not Fox actually. So even if she's on the ground and I'm on the side, she's too slow to get to me and I can just throw diagonal needles, I guess.
I think the thing is, I feel like the ensuing position of maybe Puff being on the ground or on side platform does not feel great, but I do not think it is a bad situation by any means. But I think this situation is wholly undesirable because it's either you sit there
R-
and do nothing, or Puff gets to get into the air and then you start fighting for the corner. Right?
Yeah, that no, that matches my experience. Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
And so it's like, if you stay on the platform here, sure. The thing is, there's nothing Puff can do to transition through this. Can you see my mouse in the
Wiggle
middle of
it.
the screen?
I cannot.
Okay, let me change the thing I'm streaming. Um, if I don't,
Yeah, I
there's
can.
nothing Puff can do to get through this space easily if you literally stand on the platform and press the B button.
Yes, I agree.
And so it's like, that means she probably has to go down because if she goes up, nothing good will happen for her. You turn her back and start bearing, or you drop through
Yeah.
platform and go under her and get center stage for free, or
Yeah.
whatever. And so then she's kind of forced to go to the ground. And then
Yeah.
this position, it is awkward because you can't just be like, ooh, I'm a shield drop and hit the Puff. But there's
Yeah.
also nothing Puff can do if you're willing to play like a slightly extended interaction. Like if she gets here, maybe
Yeah.
she could wave dash here, but then it's like you don't care. You're just gonna run over here, go to top plat, come down, and then needle towards center and then transition through. Or run off the platform, turn around needle right here, and then pressure the Puff on the ground because it's good to do that. Or go to top
Run off back
platform.
air or
Yeah, you
yeah.
run
Okay.
off bear, or you like you can do a plethora of things that are indirect but still let you transition to a good position afterwards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of a big thing with Sheik Puff, and I'm sure you felt it, but like if you're willing to play out these kind of extended interactions, then you could almost always end up in the position that you want at the end. It's just a
Yeah,
roundabout way to get there.
I think I have an aversion. I think I haven't been specific enough about um the extended interactions and how to play each part of them because and so what ends up happening is it feels totally random whether or not I end up in a good spot or I don't know how to be more specific other than that. It's just that if I haven't thought about it very deeply or I haven't gone into very deeply, it's just I think I have a fairly good recognition of when the extended interactions can happen, but I haven't really tried to map out all the possibilities. And so what ends up happening is sometimes it goes really well and sometimes it goes really poorly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay. So I get on the ground and this is not cool, and then I wave dash up tilt her.
That's a very I'm playing against Fox wave dash up tilt. Makes perfect sense.
Oh,
Fox gets on right there. What if he full hops? Boom, he gets demolished. But like Puff,
yeah.
there's nothing Puff will do from this spacing that will put her
Yeah.
there. She will either full hop back air right here to catch you jumping, dash forward jump, or she will wave dash on the ground to try and get right here and be annoying with like maybe a back air,
Yeah.
maybe another wave dash towards you, maybe a wave dash away, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like if I were to play out this spot from the ground, I'd be like, charge needles. Oh, drop three platform. I guess I'll throw them because I don't really care. It's not like Puff on the ground, eat needles, or she shields them. I'm fine with that. And then if I don't decide to do that, I would just go to side platform.
Yeah. Okay.
There's just no like fighting this interaction unless you have needles out. I think because
Yeah.
jumping sucks. Being
Yeah,
on the
jumping
ground
does
sucks.
nothing at this percent.
Yeah.
So
And if
yeah.
you're gonna jump, you could catch her up the air, and you don't need to do that preemptively. Good platform, find needles. You should have taken
Oh,
center here. I think this is like
yes.
it's good platform. I think maybe you weren't reacting the best when you went to platform because this was potentially an opportunity to run off fair and then pressure.
I was worried about I didn't see, I guess see, looking at it now, it feels obvious that I could have run off fair there. I think I was worried. I reacted too late, and so I was worried that I was just gonna run off into her back air, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if I reacted really well, then I think
Yeah, I just think I look at this spot and there's Puff can't get from here to here while facing backwards still, you know? Like this
okay,
is
yes.
actually the edge of her threat range.
I didn't know that. That matters.
Yeah, because if she were like facing forward, it'd be different. But with how back airing works, if you want to get full drift on the back air, you have to do it early enough to where you don't get the turnaround, right? Because Puff turns around in her double jumps,
Yes.
and so she has to bear early to prevent her from turning around out of her double jump. And then because she's bearing early, she can't like get drift, you know. So her drift is like when she's doing bear and she's just doing a rising bear out of a double jump, she could only go like this far, you know? She
Oh,
can't.
okay, sorry. You're saying she did the full jump back air, and then as she's doing the double jump back air to prevent herself from turning around, she has to do it early, which cuts off her drift.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. She can't delay
Yes.
the backer. It has to be early, you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Because otherwise, she does turn around fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why I was like, I would be okay with just, I'd be ready to run off fair, you know? That's what I think.
Yeah, I think I didn't I think when I evaluated that position in the game, I was like, "Okay, she did this," and I didn't even think about sort of I just thought she could bear again, and I didn't think about how she has to do the second bear or whatever, and I just thought, "Okay, that makes so much more sense to me."
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I sort of fudge it in my head. It's like I saw the first full drift, full hop bear, and I was like, "Okay, now what? She can bear me again," but I didn't even think about, like, "Okay, that second bear may not even reach me."
Hmm.
Yeah, like, that was just so far away from hitting me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Um. Here, Puff committed pretty big, and you jumped because you thought she would be able to get you. But again, Puff jumping from here, even with a fair, he's not gonna get right here, you know. And
Mhm.
so you could like, if you're paying close enough attention to like how she's jumping, you could have pretty reasonably told that she can't get from here to here. She can't really even hit the platform, I don't think. And so
Yeah,
it's
she can maybe hit the
like,
inside edge. Yeah.
yeah, and so it's like I would not jump. I would just start running forward.
Dash.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
guess what happens? You run forward. You get to run off platform, needle to center, or go to top platform, or dash forward, and then realize she's drifting forward, and then she'll drop something. It's like I wouldn't probably
Yeah.
do that, but it's an option, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. There's just a lot of things I could do that don't involve me jumping, then being put in this awkward spot where she has more time.
Yeah. Now you're in the
Yeah.
worst spot known to mankind because you
Yeah,
jumped.
yeah, that's horrific. I was like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah.
And then I might
Nice. Nice. Pressure. Oh.
yeah, so this is a position that happens a lot. It's like I don't really have a clear idea of how to pressure in this one.
So I think there's a few things that kind of made it awkward. First, I'm surprised he wave dash fared instead of shield drop fairing, but it ended up being fine because she was much closer. But I kind of prefer pressuring off F tilt compared to up tilt because if she goes behind you, you get
I
this
did wave dash
position.
fair because I didn't know if I would reach if I just did the shield drop.
Mm-hmm. If you went as fast as possible, you would have, but you had to be
Okay.
reacting well. And so this is the position that sucks, and why I don't like up tilting that much against Puff, because then it's like you can't actually get hard bear here, and so now you're in this spot where she's on platform actionable and you're landing, and it's like you could forward tilt immediately to real shield drop, but that's risky because you might get drilled and something horrible could happen. You could instant
Yeah.
short hop bear again, but she could hold shield, and
Yeah,
then
and then I get smoked.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like after this, I would probably turn immediately, not dash, just turn around and then short hop back. Because then,
Oh,
if she does,
because then if she lands into me, then I get a free pressure with fair, and then otherwise I can go back to the side and retreat and be fine, or do anything. So I have
yeah,
the whole stage.
yeah,
Okay.
you get the spacing
Okay.
you want, and you get to pressure her being greedy, you know. And so
Yeah.
then, imagine
Hmm.
if you're short hopping back right here.
She would have got smoked right there.
Yeah, she
Just
gets faired out
fair
the air, F
reaction.
tilted out the air, whatever you want, you know.
Yeah. I actually felt a fury rise in me when I saw her do the pound. I was like, "This makes no sense for you to do," and you did it anyway.
It's simply they just do it because they want to move forward.
It's so dumb.
You have to be ready for it every time, always. Oh. That's fair. It's kind of greedy.
Yeah,
I think
she.
if I'm gonna do something that like, if I'm gonna do something like this, I would much rather just throw my life away and fall with needle and try and get a grab, because fair just gets
Oh,
CC
okay.
cringed, and you end up in this awkward position. Where you probably should be getting
Yeah,
CC
she
grabbed.
should. Yeah, she could have smashed me too. She didn't want to mess with the frame data or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like this is just like undesirable, you know. And so
Hmm.
I like needle here more if I'm gonna be like I want to throw my life away some portion of the time, because then you can get
Okay.
grab in probably like 30%.
Yeah.
I think fair here is better than up air. I'd much rather deal
Ye-
with Puff over here than Puff with up here. You know?
yes.
Yeah.
I sort of autopilot up air because the angle looked good,
Mm-hmm.
not because I thought it was good. Oh, I don't know why I shielded beforehand.
Yeah, you definitely messed up pretty poorly. You like, and then here,
One
I
second.
okay.
Sorry, you were saying I would I messed up pretty badly because I did jab and shield or something, and then
Yeah, and then in the following spot where she's falling down, I would still be willing to pressure because Puff has to fall this far and then go through landing lag still. And so you could at least dash over and
there.
space a like fair. And like
Okay.
you fairing a shield is not that big of a deal. I think you might be able
Why
to
don't
short
I
hop
bear here?
backwards and bear too. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't know if you had to spend that much time drifting. So it's
okay.
like
Yeah,
if you have time, then I think bear's fine. But you have to like
okay.
go pretty far. Like she's pretty far away, and so I'd rather dash fair.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think you missed an opportunity.
Yeah, okay, that kind of thing happens a lot too, where, like, so I get this sort of thing. Well, so once I land from the full hop,
Yeah,
and then I'm sort of crouching and she's full hopping, I don't really know how to take advantage of this. This actually happens to me quite a bit.
I think the you're probably thinking of the interaction slightly, or the timing of the interaction slightly wrong. Because when I see this full hop, the point to make a decision is right now. You either could read her jumping and just jump fair and be down to throw your life away and get grabbed. Probably not the biggest deal. Maybe the biggest deal. Who knows? You could just turn around and F tilt and read a full hop rising fair. You
Mhm.
could turn around and up tilt and read her just drifting into you. And if you want
Yeah,
to like be safe against the ground, you'd turn around, wave dash back, and then pick a button. So you do turn
okay.
on wave dash back, but then you don't pick a button.
I see, I see, I see. I think and you're right. I didn't have the timing of the decision in mind, and instead I was just thinking, "Okay, I'm gonna wave dash back and figure it out later." But actually I should have
You're in a mix. You're just
yeah,
staying.
I'm in a mix. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. This is helping. Yeah, like, I got hit by that up air even though it didn't feel like when I watched that every time, I'm like, "This doesn't feel right." I feel like I had
Yeah,
a chance to do something there.
I agree. Worst
Okay.
case, you should be shielding, you know?
Yes, I think I tried to CC something. Oh, where dude, I missed this is the freest fair ever, and I still missed it, I don't know why.
Yeah, you missed. It's because your nair was like you. I think you expected to AC, and so you missed. Or you missed your L cancel, and then you ended up missing your dash, and then you do something not that
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I'm still. So here's a secret technique. It's not actually a secret technique, but Sheik down tilt's really broken against Puff, and anytime Puff is in the air,
Yes.
you should probably be mashing down tilt because what is the Puff going to do about it? She's gonna get
Just
anti-aired every time she tries to do something proactive, and she will never be able to punish it.
yeah, I love spamming down tilt against the good puffs, and I don't know why I just didn't do it here.
Yeah, this is like a super down tilt hits at like the top of the screen. You could have just done it and it would have worked.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I also think this nair is really bad. I think jumping here is fine. If you really want to get late pressure, do a super duper late fair. But nairing doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
Because the
I
only
thought this
reason why
was
you'd
fun.
nair is because you'd want to hit on the way up, right? But Puff is not in a spot where she would be getting hit on the way up, you know?
I thought I guess I did the nair because I wanted the late hitbox to interact with her jump, which it did, but what is a better way to do this concept, I guess?
It's like
Or do I even need to do this at all?
I think if you wanted to interact well with her jump, I mean, it's like fine, but I really don't like the optics of it because you do this there, that's super slow and reactable. If Puff is reacting well, wave dash back F smash are cooked.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's like
Yeah, no,
not the case with like jump late aerial, you know?
I agree that I didn't when I look back up the Nair, I don't that it just happened to work out, but I didn't have any other I guess I could just do late fair here, and if I get F smash, I get F smash.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't
Oh,
prioritize center. You tried to hit her. You should just run. Just run and do the
oh.
furthest away bear possible and be safe.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oh, I meant to
Um,
do something else, but
Coming down from top here is pretty risky. You should just run off needle to the center.
mhm.
Worked out
Oh,
though.
yeah, it worked out.
Uh,
Oh, dude, I lined it up really poorly. I thought I had a good idea, but then I lined it up really, really like putting a bear near or trying to put the bear as a threat is good, but I didn't really do it very well.
yeah. I also think a potential thing you could do is doing full hop needle turnaround and pressuring bear for this spot. Because Puff's gonna be falling
I
down. If you just like
Yeah.
go up here sometimes and try and bear, something good might happen, and it's not actually that risky.
Yeah, I like doing this sometimes too. I don't know why I didn't remember to do it here.
Yeah,
Instead, I just sort of charge needles and then I like change my idea about the situation way too late or
yeah.
something.
You just got like
Yeah.
I think you need to actually directly pressure her here. This is like a spot where you're fighting air to air with Puff, and she doesn't have the freedom to like juke you
E-
out, and so you could
Yeah.
and like in a meaningful
Bear
way, she could
her.
obviously avoid you,
Yeah.
but she can't like avoid you and then hit you and then kill you. It's like you just get hit
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah. It's like she avoids it and then resets to neutral, or I get the hit, and
Yeah,
then yeah. So this is like this is a spot where I should just juice it.
you could just start mashing fair and bear at the top of the screen, and who
Yeah,
cares, you know?
yeah, yeah.
That
Oh, the
up
jump was
tilt.
kind of troll.
The second jump was not great. It didn't do anything. And then going under here to up tilt, I don't like very much. You have to be
Yeah,
tricky.
this is the situation I was talking about where it's like I gave her this kind of free win because then I think she drills from here, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Okay, so it's like if I know that she's gonna be well, first off, I think I could have just circumvented this position by not doing the second jump.
Mm.
But but now, once I get her in this spot, I don't really have a good idea of what to do. I guess I just chill and don't do the up tilt or
There's a few things. So you end up in the spot directly below her. I actually don't like being directly below Puff. I think being at a slight angle is better.
mm,
But once you end up in this spot, you could either read that she's gonna do an early shield drop to hit something like this and full hop behind her and then do a late aerial. You
mm.
could do crouch wave dash back, and crouch wave dash back is actually important because you need to be low enough to get hit by like an early shield drop drill.
Yes, yes.
Um, you could honestly up smash might be fine. You could always up
Yeah,
smash, or you could literally just dash to center, just run to
yes.
center, and that's fine.
Yeah, I do dash to center a lot, but I think it goes back to something that you and I talked about through text, which is that I don't it because I can die at any point to Puff, it feels like if I'm not doing more efforts to pressure her, that that I'm sort of slow choking myself.
Hmm.
But I guess I should maybe just trust that if I dash to center, nothing bad is going to happen, and there's enough ways for me to win situations that it should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think it's fine mainly because I think Sheik demolishes Puff in neutral if you just are willing to like play the long game. If you decide I will run to
yes,
center and then I will avoid horrific things happening to me, even if it means I spend an extra 30 seconds getting the stock, I'm okay with that, you know? You have to be
okay,
okay with that. And if you
okay.
aren't, then you could do more proactive things. But then you're risking this, which is getting grabbed, and then the Puff didn't do a good back air, but they should have back aired your air dodge, and then you die. You know?
Yeah, this Puff did not edge guard me well. Puff just sucks at edge guard shakes. Like,
Yeah. Go drop
oh,
fair. It's fine. You should probably turn your back and pressure with like full hop, double jump bear
e-
and stuff.
yes. So far, the one common theme is that I'm not taking the free spots when I have them. So I can, not taking the free back airs when I have them so far. Both very high up in the air and closer to the stage. I am not really. I think there are a few situations where I didn't see that a mix was already happening. Trying to think of other things. Um, I should probably reevaluate when it's a good idea to land with aerials in the puff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay. Anyway, we can keep going.
Yeah, let's watch one more interaction and then wrap up. Probably go to ledge.
I'm actually really happy I rolled this. Like, this is like she couldn't get me in any of these positions really.
Mm-hmm. Up
Oh,
tilt's
what did I
pretty.
feel?
Yeah, that's the same up tilt as the other one. You're like trying to use up tilt. It's like you're trying to hit a fox full hop, but it's Jigglypuff. So the way it works is just
Yeah.
different. If instead of the up tilt, you could have pressured by dashing forward and jumping, but you're threatening getting hit out the air. But if it goes well, it's fine. Crouch wave dash back is good. That's about it.
This is the second sort of lesson where you mentioned wave dashing back as the sort of aggressive or way to posture a threat. It's just funny, I guess. I like never really think of retreating any form of retreating action as aggressive, but Sheik has F tilt out of wave dash back. So
Yeah, it's mostly about like how the Sheik's moves hit, and you need to
yeah,
get to points to where your moves work. And if you don't do
yes,
that, you don't have any options. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Um. Yeah. Good needles. Good wave dash back.
Oh, did I need a fair? I don't remember.
Probably should have.
No,
You
no.
probably should have fared that instead of bear.
Okay.
No. But it was really good to like actually read the double jump. Oh, they did that
Oh,
thing.
dude, I didn't know. I was so surprised when it happened. What did she do there?
It's the it's the up B. See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's up B. So if she up B, she could grab the ledge with her back turned. The timing you did the bear was pretty not great. You had to do it like you had to like run up, wave dash, turn around bear instantly. But you kind of like
This kind of situation happens a lot where she's already in the corner, and I don't really know how to hit her.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it's fine. This bear is perfectly fine, but the way you play it has to change because you did it slightly later. Now you have to go into defense mode, but I think you could really safely go to side platform and play from there. Yeah, and those.
Oh, praying for her to jump into me.
Yeah, it's like don't pray for the puff to jump in you. You could just wait for her to jump.
Yeah.
This is fine. Needles are super bad. These are like stock
Yeah,
losing needles.
I felt really bad about these needles when they were happening. I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit."
you do these needles, puff drifts all the way into you and mashes up tilt or up air, you're cooked.
GG.
Yeah.
No, I did up tilt again.
I don't think your scramble is very good here. I think full hopping out the shield, if the puff is like super attentive, she will just full hop up air and horrible things will happen to you.
Yeah,
I
I
think wave
agree.
dashing away. I just think against Puff, wave dashing instead of jumping in awkward positions fixes so many things. Puff is really bad at hitting you on the ground crouching in random positions.
Agree.
And so it's like if you just wave dash away here, even if you have your back turned, you could just wave dash away, maybe crouch, maybe shield, and then figure it out later and still get out eventually, you know?
Yes, I think I when now that we're talking about, I think I have this weird concept that if I am ever scrambling, that I want to be jumping versus puff because if things randomly go right for me, I get huge amounts of damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a bad instinct in this regard because I it could just be equally true that she obliterates me
Yeah, you have to
for
think about it how
the
if
risk
she
reward.
she gets something good in that position, you're probably getting rested.
Yeah,
If you get something
yeah,
good, you
yeah,
get a
yeah.
fair. Really cool. You know?
I think that's actually how a lot of my games go wrong against puffs. Is that like I'm fucking shitting on them, and then they put me in some scrambles, and then suddenly my stock lead vanishes because they randomly they got onto the ground before me and they grabbed me and they up throw me. And
Yeah.
then yeah, okay, okay.
Yep. Um, I think
Oh,
one general thought I have is
mm,
you're really bad, or it's not really bad, but it's actually like the way that you're thinking of like the direction you need to face depending on the position is poor. And so it's like
I
you
agree.
only need to be facing back when Puff is at the 45-degree angle in the air and you're bearing. The moment she's not right now, you should like have already been
Turn
turning
around F
around.
tilt,
Yeah,
an F
like
tilt
you
or shield or yeah.
yeah, just like you need to be facing forward. It's like it's fine to have your back turn here. That bear potential is fine, but you need to immediately turn on wave dash back and play the next mix up.
So
But
why is
then
bear so important for the matchup? I guess
because it's
like
the
it.
only way that you could pressure Puff when she's in the air, um, at all. Fair is fine if you're close,
Yeah.
Fair's much better if you're close, but you're not going to be close to Puff when she's in the air most of the time, you know?
I see. So you're saying, like, if she's 45 degrees above me and my back is facing to her, that is extremely, extremely good for me, and so she sort of has to plan for that kind of threat, and she'll do things to get around it, and then that'll mean I have to face forward or, play for the next position or what have you, but the point is that if she's not in that exact position, then I'm gonna play for something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Um, okay. Now, actually, one more interaction and then wrap up.
Yeah.
That 4 tilt super greedy. This is a wave dash back spot. Puff is. Look at how close Puff is, you know? She just jumped back. She drift.
Mhm.
It's like, even if she drifted in, there's no way in the world that 4 tilt doesn't, like, what you want to do. Either hits the crouching Puff, or hits the shielding Puff, or whiffs, you know? And so you should be
Yeah,
wave dashing
this
back.
F tilt does happen to me a lot, by the way. Is like I end up doing this F tilt because I'm like, dude, I need to stop her from getting in on me with anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I should just wave dash back. Well, she's also facing forwards here, crucially. Like she can't even hit me, I guess.
Yeah, no. All she's gonna do is wave dash forward and try and do something cringe. That's it. And so it's
Yeah.
like, I just feel like if you're going to be forward tilting, you need to be specific about when you're forward tilting for it's like, it is only for when Puff is just jumping right at you. And in this spot, Puff jumped backwards and changed her drift to forward. And it's like, she's not going to get to the spot where your forward tilt hits. So you should probably just wave dash back and forward tilt instead. Because if the Puff jumps forward and fares, oh my god, who the fuck is? She jumped forward and fared, right?
Yeah. Can you go back to the so right here it's like
Roll in.
whatever pound. She jumped back. Okay, I didn't even notice that, honestly.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
is
she
the
jumped.
important part.
The important part is that she jumped back, then changed her drift to come forward, and yeah, you're right. Like if like my reaction to her drift back is F tilting, that will literally never ever hit her.
Yeah, it just
Like,
doesn't make sense, you know?
yeah, it would be one thing if she had jumped, done some neutral drift or something with the jump, and maybe she could have come forward into my zone at some point. But she started by drifting backwards, and I already made up my mind that I needed to protect the space in front of me. But I should instead wave dash back and F tilt to cover the possibility of her drifting forward and pairing into the next position, which is what she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap up. Um, I mean, I guess do you have any thoughts? I feel like it'd be more
No,
fun.
I think all of the I now having looked at it with you, uh I think I had all the opportunities to do. I guess I don't feel as bad about it as I thought I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had all the opportunity. It wasn't like whether well, of course it's not always within my control as to whether or not the puff behaves the way she does, but I feel like I did actually have a lot of decent spots that I didn't play very well. Like I had her in the air above me or whatever, and I could have had free back airs. Or I what you call it? I had her in front and of me and close to me with some frame advantage, and I could have done a better job forward airing her or whatever. Uh, yeah, like I don't think the text feel was. I mean, text feel was a little bit of a problem, but it wasn't really the big issue. I think if I had nailed down the concepts, it would have been fine.
I agree. Um,
So
how do you feel about all the mentality stuff you talked about? Do you feel like it's reasonably actionable?
I think we well, I I think it is reasonably actionable. I think we probably should have. I probably should have just used my friend time to talk about it and not the lesson, but it's fine. I think we covered enough things in the puff. Like we covered 3 or 4 different things in the puff thing that are easy to fix. So
Yeah, I also think the things you covered in the puff stuff, it was like 4 things, but those are things that come up in every single important interaction you play with Puff, you know?
yeah,
Like
I
they're
agree.
structural, so I think it was good.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think the mentality stuff is reasonably actual. I think it makes sense to have some sort of. I think it's nice to hear that other people. It's validating to hear that other people have the same dichotomy as I do, where it's like, well, you either, there's playing good in tournaments and there's playing good in they're just playing good in general, and of course sometimes they align, but they don't always align, and you have to decide how you feel about the parts where they don't align.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I came to sort of similar conclusion before with lesson two, in that like I have to have a really practical way to approach mentality issues in tournaments that have to do with my motivations, and it's probably um and I think having talked through it, I'm even more affirmed in my idea that part of the issue is just that I don't give myself that many opportunities to play in tournaments. Like if I'm only going to 2 to 3 tournaments, or if I'm only going to like 2 locals a month at maximum or what have you, and they happen after work on a Friday, like the number of times that I'm exposed is just not really that high.
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
so it's just gonna like I probably just in some ways I probably just rolled bad, but it's good that it's good that I'm taking these things seriously, and um it's good that I'm trying to think through it, I think. So I'm not too worried. I guess the probably the most immediate next step is for me to um start going to tournaments with goals and
Mhm.
making sure that like even if I don't feel like, for example, before this set, I think I really should have just, even if uh like, for example, if I really felt that the vibes were off before this set, I could have just said, okay, no matter what, I am going to make it my goal to do X, completely irrelevant. And obviously, like, who knows how that would have gone, but at least I would have had something.
Yeah.
So I think a practical strategy for now is just to always come up with something I'm going into a set with or a tournament with. And even if it's just one thing, ideally it's not just one thing, right? Like ideally I came in prepared and had lots of different things I wanted to try and play with, and experience under pressure and all that. But in the worst case scenario, if I just come up with the one thing, it should work out better for me long term than having no things at all.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this was good. Hope you have a good holiday. I'm sure we will be messaging about Melee between now and then also. So, oh, I guess just as a final thing, just as a sort of recap about just other lesson stuff. Falco stuff is going okay, I think. I think actually, in general, with all the matches that we've talked about, I think um, the idea of figuring out or trusting my intuition about different positions and just sort of getting to the good spots and playing from there has been pretty good. Like I think things have not been super awkward, and um, I think sounds. I guess with Puff, it's kind of the same way. I actually just didn't have as many chances to practice against Puff before this, but I think in general, I felt like, oh, if I get more practice against Puff and I just remember what the good spots are, and this lesson will obviously help, uh, that it should go much better.
Yeah.
But instead, I just felt really rigid, and I was like, okay, well, I have to F tilt her. It's, I think in my head going when I was playing the set, I was like, I have to F tilt her, or I have to back air her, or I have to needle her, and nothing else matters. When in fact, as you and I talked about, there's so many other things that matter, like forward airing her, like resetting when things aren't good, like knowing, when I'm in a mix or not in a mix, etc. So
Mhm. Okay.
okay,
Sounds
all right.
good.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Yep, yep. See ya.